Hey guys, it's me again. First of all, I just want to say thank you to everyone who watched my first video. Like, I just can't believe like the support that you gave me, guys. It made me feel so great, and I'm so glad that so many of you found just hope in it. That was my goal. So here I am again. um, so my devotional today really, it kind of was crazy because it had to deal almost directly with what my pastor from our church here was talking about in his sermon on Sunday. And so I read this, and immediately I was like, man, this is something that I feel like I do need to share. I'm going to start it off with a quick true story about me. So, as many of you know, we lived in Hawaii for a couple of years. Beautiful place. Please go if you've never been. But there was this place called Paradise Cove that was one of our favorite beaches to go to. We went there almost every weekend. It was literally a cove that had these huge rocks that like made the water kind of shallow and quiet. But there was a gap in between the rocks where the sea would come in. But as long as you stayed away, I just realized it was a stain on my shirt, so please forgive me. But as long as you kind of stayed away from those rocks, you were fine. And this place was extremely famous for having turtles swimming in there all the time. If you also know me, you know that I am obsessed with sea turtles, which is why we went there all the time. And one day we were there, and Mark and Connor were playing on the beach, and I went in the water, and I was swimming, and I saw a turtle. So I just started swimming after it, not messing with it, but just, watching it, swimming after it. Most of the time when you're in this cove, the water was only about waist deep. Well, I started realizing that I was pretty deep, and the turtle kept going down. So I picked my head up to see, and I realized that I had made it to that space in between where there was no rocks to keep you from the open sea. Of course, I started panicking momentarily. I'm sure all of this happened within seconds. It didn't feel like seconds to me because I looked out, realized that as I was trying to go forward, I was not at all, that the current was currently just so strong that it was sweeping me backwards and I could not go forward. I wanted so badly to yell for Mark, but there's nothing he could do because he had our 10-month-old son on the beach. So, of course, I panicked. I was trying so hard to swim. I tried to go deeper into the water to get away from the current, which did help a little bit, and I was able to get to a point where there was these terrible, terrible rocks that you would otherwise never want to step on because there was urchins and they were all jagged. And of course I didn't have any water shoes on or anything, but I finally got to those rocks and I just held on for dear life until I could get my footing. And I was able to kind of get away from the current and went back into the cove. Of course, when I got there, it got on shore. Mark had no idea what was going on. I was freaking out. I was on the verge of a panic attack. I was crying. I was so scared because I honestly thought I was about to be swept out to sea. But luckily I wasn't, and I kept going back and still swam after turtles. I was just a little more careful than that time. So, really scary experience, and why I'm telling you that story is because I think a lot of times that's what life feels like. We are overwhelmed. It feels like after we survive one wave, another wave hits us. Circumstances beyond our control can knock you down, hold you under, threaten to drown you, sometimes quite literally in my case, but and right now it does feel like, this circumstance is far out of our control. There's nothing we can really do except stay inside, try to stay healthy as best as we can. But in moments like this, I know that, things are getting stressful. You're not able to take breaks like you would. You're stuck in the house with your spouse. I know for me, God thinks he's super funny. I am probably the least. I do not like physical touch. I'm not a big hugger. I'm not a big cuddler, toucher. And I'm also a very quiet person. I like quiet. And God decided to bless me with the two most touching, talkative boys in the world. And I love them both so much. But believe me, my patience has been tested many a time being stuck in the house with both of them. So, that being said, I know that a lot of you are in the same boats. You're stressed out. You are with the same people 24/7. It can get to you. So moments like these, I know that we are trying desperately to find that solid ground. Luckily, there's answers and there's help in the Bible, and I think no better place to start than David. I think David from the Bible found himself in a lot of scenarios and impossible scenarios and overwhelming circumstances. So my devotional actually comes from Psalm 61, verse 2 through 4. From the end of the earth I will cry to you when my heart is overwhelmed. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I am. For you have been a shelter for me, a strong tower from the enemy. I will abide in your tabernacle forever. I will trust in the shelter of your wings. David knew that the solid ground that he longed for could only be found in God, that God alone was his rock, was his shelter, was his protection. In the middle of the current of life, the swirling, the storm, God was immovable. God was solid. God still is immovable. God still is solid. So I think we have a lesson to take from David, that we can only find our solid ground in God. He goes on a little bit to talk about how a lot of times we think that we can only find peace and tranquility if the troubles disappear, if the waves disappear, if the storm goes away, if our circumstances would just change. We could find solid ground and regain your stability and your footing. Sometimes that does happen. Right now, that's not really one of those times. But often your situation doesn't improve. At least not right away. Could be impossibly long, or you just never know. You might feel like your head is underwater, your souls are banged up, your spirit is crushed, and you're struggling to catch your breath. Believe me, I have been there quite literally, and also spiritually and emotionally. I have been there. But here's the deal: your physical and literal situation doesn't have to change in order for you to find rest and to find peace and to find safety and sure footing. You have that spiritual rock, that spiritual reassurance every single place you go, no matter where you go. Like David, we have instant access to the person who created the universe, who can never be moved. God is our solid ground when things are uncertain, when things are shifting beneath our feet. He is our solid ground. He helps you find your footing no matter what the terrain. God doesn't mock your missteps. God doesn't mock your mess ups, your wipeouts. He doesn't get frustrated with your failures. Just the opposite. I think he's drawn to your desperation, your anxiety, your overwhelmedness. He wants to help. He wants to be there for the helpless, the hopeless. He is there for all of us. That's what he wants. Maybe right now you feel like you're in an impossible and overwhelming situation. We kind of all are. We're all in this boat together. At least there's that. Maybe especially just in your household right now, you feel like you can't find your footing, and you're thinking that God doesn't want to help you. God isn't helping you. You're done for. You're toast. You're not going to make it through this. But God hears your cries. He knows your needs. It may not happen how you expect it or when you expect it, but God will be your refuge and your rock. He will be your solid ground. Life doesn't always make sense, especially right now. It's hard. It's so hard. It's hard on relationships. It's hard on friendships, on marriages, on relationships with your kids. It's just hard. It really is. I can't explain why things happen to us, why our feet get swept out from under us, but sometimes our circumstances don't always line up with what we expect God to do. But I have learned this, especially during this time, that God knows how to rescue the people he loves, and he loves the whole world. For God so loved the whole world, not the good people, not the people who are involved most in church or who give to charity. God loves the world, and he loves you, and he wants to be your rock, your higher place, your shelter, your protection. So during this time especially, just know that he is there, that he is immovable, that he is not going to crumble beneath this. Even though you may feel like the world is crumbling around you, he's not. He's there, and he wants to help you, especially when you cry out to him. He knows the pain that you're going through. He knows the struggles between you and your spouse. He knows the headache you get because your kid asked for fruit snacks for the 50th time today. Maybe that's just me, I don't know. But in every situation, not just COVID-19, in every small detail of your life, God cares about you and wants to help you and wants you to know how loved you are. So I hope you take courage in this and take hope, find hope like I did. Hopefully it's not too rambly. But I am praying for all of us. I know how hard this is, and but we got this. God is our solid rock, and we're going to be just fine making it out of this. Thank you guys for watching.